Welcome to Inspiring Nations with Sonja Keeve Radio Show, an affiliate of Creative Broadcasting and TALK Radio TV Network LLP. Question: where do you draw your inspiration? Join us as we feature women from across the globe with incredible stories of how they inspire nations every day. Now, here is your host, Sonja Keeve.
To another edition of Inspiring Nations. I am your host, Sonja Keeve, and I'm excited to bring my next guest to our show today. We have the amazing Miss Anika Stewart, and let me just share a little bit about her. She is an author, certified Christian life coach, inspirational speaker, counselor in faith-based and co-occurring disorders. She is the creator of Self-Identity Apparel and community activist. She is also the founder of the I Am Every Woman Conference. She is a bold, direct, and has a confident approach of compelling women to transform their lives. And today we're going to talk about that, about how you get unstuck and laser focused on life, purpose, and your calling. And so without further ado, for my listening audience, please welcome to the show the amazing Miss Anika Stewart. Well, hello, superstar.
Hello. I'm so excited, Sonja, to be with you on tonight. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And, I know you personally, but for the ones who don't know you, please share just a little bit outside of your bio who you are and whom you serve.
So what my bio doesn't speak about is the woman who was lost, afraid, and desolate. And it wasn't until November 2007 where I found myself at gunpoint by two masked gunmen. And these gentlemen, they broke in my house and demanded that I get on the floor. And as I'm laying there, they tied and bound my hands and my legs and gagged my mouth. And it was in that traumatic moment, that experience that I encountered, that I realized I wanted to live. I wanted to choose to do something with my life outside of my drug addiction, outside of living a life of mediocrity and choosing to settle in relationships. And I decided that day, that moment, that I choose to live and I choose to do something great with my life. And I really wasn't sure how that was going to manifest. I wasn't sure how that was going to come to life, but I knew I didn't want to die, and I knew that there was more to my life than Anika from the hood or Anika, the drug addict. There was more to Anika. So I am so excited that I got a chance to live beyond my hurt, habits, and hang-ups. I got a chance to live outside of the labels and the opinions and the judgments of not just others, but myself. So I Choose to Live is about a woman who intentionally began to put her life back together, but she did it by creating her own narrative and in the process being able to help those other women who feel as though they can't exceed beyond their hurts, habits, and hang-ups. They can't exceed beyond the labels and the judgments of not just others but themselves. So I help them to create strategy solutions so they can be successful in their own right by launching their dreams.
Yes. And my God, what a compelling story. But as you're telling it, I'm thinking, my God, you were at gunpoint. And I don't know many of us who can say we can relate to that. But to know that that moment in your life allowed you to not only transition, but transform, to choose to live. And for those that are listening, I want you to understand that in that moment where she could have given up her life, she made a conscious decision. If she made it through, she wanted to choose to live. And so you're doing that through your life, and as you said, through the women that you are helping. And so tonight we're going to really talk about this topic about finding your life purpose and calling. And so we know for you, it was, this moment in 2007 that propelled you to launch your life the way it is today. So for others who may feel in that same position that feels like, I don't know if my life is what it needs to be, how does one even decide their life purpose?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I love to be transparent when I am on any platform, because most people, they see the here and now from the woman that I was. And although I am happy with who I am, and I've come from a traumatic experience, several traumatic experiences, I still know what it's like to be that woman who is uncertain about, I don't even know what my purpose is. I have no clue about what that looks like, what it feels like. What am I called to do? Because all I know is my dysfunction. All I know is what I've normalized to be normal. And for me, normal was the drugs. For me, normal was the domestic violence and settling in different relationships. And so whatever you allowed to become normal, you got to go back to what you were passionate about. What circumstances in your life have you exceeded? What circumstances in your life have you overcome? And what have you learned from them? Sometimes you do have to go back and reflect. You know what I mean? Because in your reflection, you sometimes we forget about the things that we've already overcome and the things that we have learned, the life lessons. And the life lessons are always going to be with you because you're still here. You have breath in your body and you're still here. So you've learned many lessons. What could you pull from those lessons to say, I can begin to create and make impact, and I can serve others and pull them out of whatever they're going through, because I know what it's like to be in that situation. And that's what it was like for me. I went back to the place where I was lost and desolate and said, you know what, I can help these women because I've been there. I can give them the tools and resources. They can, feel safe with me and not feel judged because I've been there. So go back, reflect, go back and just see what you've overcome.
Yes, and I love the fact that you mentioned, understanding your normal requires you to identify what was the thing you were most passionate about. And I think we don't do that enough because for some of us, we think the dysfunction was the norm. But it was before that. It was, what was your life like before the dysfunction? And so as they begin to realize what they're passionate about, for some people, they feel like there's so much. So how do you narrow that down? Because you can go in so many different directions. So how do you hone in to really identify what is that thing that brings you the most passion?
You can start by what brings you the most passion. So let me tell you what I did, and that may help someone. So you start by, first, you got to acknowledge, accept, and own who you are today. Most times we want to, just move forward and operate in purpose and operate from what we're passionate about. But if there's still any lingering dysfunction, if there's still any lingering self-doubt or pity, then you won't operate at your best, at your greatest capacity. So what I tell clients that I work with or women that I come into contact with is, first, we got to start with acknowledging, accepting, and owning who we are. Who is the woman that you see in the mirror? Who is she? And be honest and authentic in your response, because it's not about perfection. And that was something that I had to overcome. Thinking that I had to be perfect, I had to do things a certain way, I had to, speak a certain way, and I just allowed myself to get so consumed with the thought of, okay, I'm not doing it right, that I was losing sight of who I really was. So be authentic you see in the mirror, acknowledge her, accept who she is, and then begin to connect yourself intentionally around people who can give you what you need so you can move forward to the next level. So, I had to intentionally be amongst women who honestly were intimidating to me because they were so successful. They were making 6, 7 figures. They had a platform already. They were doing all these amazing things, and here I am. I'm just showing up. I'm just trying to figure it out. So you got to allow your pride to die so that you may live. You got to allow your emotions not to lead you, but put them on the back burner, put them on the shelf so that way you can find out what you really like about yourself and find out those wise information that they'll give you so that way you can succeed in what you're passionate about.
And that was, I just wanted to go back because I was writing vigorously as you were speaking. There were 2 very important points you mentioned as you were trying to figure out what you're most passionate about. You said you have to acknowledge, accept, and own, that you have to allow your pride to die. And so with allowing your pride to die, it opens up your heart, your mind, so that you can receive and acknowledge that thing that you're most passionate about. So I want to just reiterate that point because I thought that was so powerful and somebody got freed by that statement. And so, Anika, let me ask you, so when they first after they've identified kind of what they're passionate about, what is kind of the next step in really understanding your life purpose? What's the next step for a woman that you're counseling to kind of identify their calling?
So after you have gone through those first 3 phases, now it's time for you to research. It's time for you to research the industry that you're passionate about. Researching honestly is one of the most impeccable things that you can do when you are embarking upon your life's purpose and calling, because you just don't want to hop on the scene and say, I've arrived without doing your due diligence of researching. So I always recommend that you research the industry, that you start connecting yourself with people who are doing what you would like to do, and begin to ask those questions. Asking questions is powerful because you're learning. And one thing that I learned, it's okay to ask questions, and it's okay to not even know the answers. Sometimes we don't want to allow ourselves to be vulnerable enough to ask the questions because, I feel stupid, or, I don't want them to know that I don't know that. But again, that goes along with allowing your pride to die so that you may live. If you want to pursue your purpose, you have to be vulnerable in those times where you say, you know what, I'm going to ask this question, although it may, in my mind, appear that it's stupid. It's not stupid, because we are all here to learn from one another. So what someone else knows and what you know, they may not know. So it goes hand in hand. You have experience, you have knowledge, you have the expertise in areas that someone else doesn't. So you will know that you're able to help someone else along the way. But the things that you don't know, go ahead and research it. And give yourself permission to be vulnerable with asking those questions, because you're going to help your community as you grow. Because you do have a community. You just got to find them and search them.
And as you were talking, about researching, because you don't always know everything, I was thinking about my late father-in-law. He would always tell us, you don't know what you don't know. And I used to laugh when he would say that, but I thought much later how powerful that is, because you don't know everything. And what you don't know, you ask. And what you don't know, you research. So thank you for sharing that. And so you've identified what you're passionate about. Then you start to research and connect to the folks in the circles that you want to be in, especially if that is the industry that you want to be a part of. What would be kind of the next step beyond the research that you would do to kind of identify your purpose and calling?
Once you've done your due diligence, and here's the thing about research, you're always learning. So you've never just arrived. You are always learning because as you learn, you evolve. You know, that's how you enlarge your territory because you are always, getting fed, getting the knowledge, getting the things that you need so you can feed your community. And that's the next step. Once you've done your due diligence with researching, now it's time for you to build your tribe. It's time for you to build your community. And the only way that you can do that is with, creating your structure as a brand and as a business because most people say, well, I I'm not a business because I maybe I'm thinking about publishing a book, for example. Because I didn't think that I was in business because I had published a book. I failed to realize that I was a business. I was a brand by itself because I had a product, and my product served a community, a specific community, because I was giving them information. And so, with that being said, I want the woman on here to know that although you may be thinking the same thing I was, I want you to know that anytime you embark upon entrepreneurship of any kind, you are an expert and you have a tribe, you have a community. And because they're going to consider you to be the go-to person. So once you get to this phase of building your community, you have to structure yourself as a brand. That means you got to renew your mind. You have to renew your mind and affirm and confirm that you are an expert. You are the go-to person. You are a woman that solves solutions, that provides solutions. So you building your community, start to structure yourself as a brand, starting with your thinking, dismantling the self-doubt, and starting to structure yourself as an expert. So that goes into other elements as well, like, branding, visual branding, and things like that. We don't have enough time for that. But when you build your community, those are the things that you need to start implementing and getting things in place.
And as you were saying that, with understanding that when you create a product, you begin to evolve as a brand, how much does your confidence play into that role of putting yourself out there as the expert? How does confidence play a role in that?
1,000%. If you do not believe in yourself and the abilities that you represent, your gifts and your talents, what you bring to the table, anyone can speak over you, anyone can speak to you, and that seed of doubt or negativity will begin to fester, and you will easily put down the dream. You will easily put down the vision because your confidence wasn't in a place to combat whatever negative words that were spoken. So I know this from experience because that literally happened to me. I'm not going to host the conference again because I allowed myself to succumb to the words that were spoken to me because I wasn't in a place to really believe what I was bringing to the table. Like, I was dealing with, okay, oh my gosh, maybe she's right. And so that confidence has to always stay before you. Even when things come and present itself to you, you have to say, nope, I'm not receiving that. Go to your tribe, go to your accountability partners and allow them to strengthen you and encourage you and motivate you so you can get back in the game and continue to move forward.
Absolutely. And the confidence piece is huge. And I think also, like you said, finding that tribe, finding that support of people who celebrate you, who support you, who encourage you, I think is so vitally important in helping to build one's confidence. Because it is scary when you put yourself out there to say, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is who I serve. And when you get those naysayers, and sometimes, believe it or not, even the ones that are closest to us, family, close
Yeah.
friends can be the very ones that become the detriment to your success because they've known you as Anika, who was the drug dealer, Anika, who was running in the wrong crowd, and now you've evolved, but they haven't. So how do you learn to let go of those folks who maybe have been with you when they knew you when, but now you're in this new space? How do you confidently be able to let them go so that you can move forward?
For me, I'm so glad you asked that question because that was something that was very intimidating for me in the beginning of my journey as an entrepreneur because I expected my friends and family to support me. I expected them to buy my products, and when they didn't, I was crushed, I was hurt, all those things. And then even with the ones that didn't believe and, was holding me to my task, it's something that is real. And I believe everyone experiences that on some level as an entrepreneur. And so for me, what I would always recommend, for me, I had to just say, that's not my audience. They're not my audience. So I can't expect them to support me. I can't expect them to, understand the vision because it's not their vision. God didn't give it to them. He gave it to me. And when God gives you something, he equips you and prepares you for the journey. We just have to believe that we are called. And so once I became in the understanding of my family and my friends aren't my audience, number one. So that's not who I'm serving. And then also to say, okay, you know what? God did call me. He did give me this vision. And for that, I'm grateful. And I'm just going to honor him and do what he's called me to do. And he will give you, like, again, this goes back to the community. He will give you a community of people that will be able to motivate you, support you, love on you, embrace your calling, and you have a whole new tribe of individuals that is amazing. It's just amazing because, I mean, honestly, I met you through social media, and I met you through us connecting in different investments, and honestly, I'm telling you, the relationships are genuine and they're authentic, and we support each other, we help each other, and that was something I was like in awe about when I first got started because I wasn't used to that,
Right.
So it's just important.
And isn't it interesting because with women get the bad rep that we don't know how to support each other, that there becomes this jealousy component. But when I think you understand, like you said, when you understand who your audience is, then that's whom you can focus your attention on. And interestingly enough, when you no longer shine the light on those who try to tear you down, and you start to elevate the tribe that you now are serving, isn't it interesting how those same people who tried to tear you down somehow end up being the very ones that want to come and support you? And so how do you get to the point to almost forgive and accept them for who they are so that they can now elevate to the levels that you're trying to help all the women in your tribe get to?
Well, I've come to, let me be honest with you, it comes with growth. I used to be so petty. And if I be honest with you, with everyone on the call tonight, I used to be petty. It was nothing for me to, just act out of character, but with growth, with this experience and with this level of just doing things that scare me and intimidate me, it comes a level of growth. And so when you're truly growing from the inside out, you have a different level of perception. And so my perception has changed, my integrity level has changed, and so when those things really change from the inside out, you just have a different mindset. And my mindset now is that, okay, if someone presents themselves to me, even though whatever the history, I will still extend the olive branch and I can still impart and pour into you at a price because everything's not free.
Let's be real. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. And you are doing so many amazing things, and that's why I absolutely love the show, because I get to bring my amazing friends and my amazing sisters on the show to just open this platform so that the world knows who you are. So what is next on the horizon for you?
Yeah, so glad you asked. So we are hosting our 4th annual I'm Every Woman's Conference. Our theme this year is I Choose to Live. And we all know by now that this is not just a declaration. This is a lifestyle. You being intentional about pursuing your purpose and choosing to launch. Not just choosing to live, but choosing to launch. Whatever the dream, the vision, the idea is, you're choosing to launch that. And so this is what this conference is about purpose-driven women coming together to get unstuck and get laser focused on their life, purpose, and calling. And we're going to give you all of the resources, tips, and strategies that you need so you can propel and launch in 2019 moving forward.
And what are the dates and place of the conference?
This conference will be held in Richmond, Virginia, May the 17th through the 18th. And all of the listeners today, you get our 35% off discounted rate. All you have to do is use our promo code is #Propel19. And again, you will receive 35% off of any admission ticket. And you can just go to LadyAnikaStewart.com/conference.
Well, there you have it. And for those who want to get in touch with you and know more about you, how can they get in touch with you?
You can go to LadyAnikaStewart.com, and you will also receive my checklist in audio on the 7 strategies to propel. These 7 strategic steps is what helped me to succeed in life and become the woman that I am today. And so again, you can go to LadyAnikaStewart.com and join our I Choose to Live email list and stay connected with me as I support you, motivate you, and hold you accountable.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And before I let you go, because this has just been an amazing, amazing time with you, I'm actually going to give you 3 words, and I want you to tell me the first thing that comes to mind when you hear them. Okay?
Okay.
The first word is faith.
I'm sorry, the first word was what?
Faith.
God.
Love.
Family.
Inspiration.
Oh, me.
Yes, and why do you say that?
Why do I say that? I mean, I just came to mind. Like, I am inspiration. I believe my life and my story is inspirational, and I'm a walking miracle, you know? So I believe my life and who I am is just inspiration all by itself.
Well, there you have it, Miss Anika Stewart. It was indeed a pleasure to have you on my show.
Yes, thank you so much.
And this is another edition of Inspiring Nations. Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Inspiring Nations with Sonja Keeve Radio Show. I challenge each of you to perform one simple act of kindness and pass it forward. For more information on how you can be a guest on our show, visit www.sonjakeeve.com. We hope to see you next time.